There we go. Take two. Hi, everybody. We are going to get started. So I've already pressed record. So we are live from Twin Valley here, ready to share some more information. So just in case I haven't met any of you, but I'm pretty certain I've met you all in the, if not the past recent weeks, over the last year and a half. My name is Matt Lindberg. I'm the district executive for Twin Valley. So I am the professional scouter. I'm the paid guy, the only one in the room. So if you look at every other square in this room, right, with us, you all are volunteers. So I just want to say thank you for taking this time out of your day to stare at that screen once again, to share in this opportunity that we all have. So just want to say thank you, and let's get going, right? So I'm going to share my screen and bring up a little PowerPoint for everybody, so that way you can see everything that's going on as we're moving forward. So I've already done the welcome, I've already done the thank you. It looks like you all have gotten some pretty good Zoom etiquette as well, so I just want to say thank you for coming in with your microphones muted. Please keep them that way. So if you do have a question, we totally encourage it. We ask you to put those questions in the chat box, and then that way when we get to the end of the conversation, we can rip through those questions one by one. So that way we're not going to get bogged up in any type of middle of a slide. Okay, so I think I hit everything there. Something also I just wanted to point out too, we've got a couple of key people in the room. Of course, you all are our unit leaders, our pack committee chairs, our troop scout masters, and everything in between. We also have some other individuals. So Jeff Falcon, he is our district chair. Jeff, you just waved at us for everybody. Mike Allison, he is our district commissioner. He's the guy wearing the uniform and the long hair. He's just waving at you as well. And then we also have our FOS champion, our Friends of Scouting champion, Srithar Ramanathan. He's also in here as well. So those are our district support. They're going to be helping me out with today's presentation. All right, so without further ado.
Hey, Matt.
Hit me.
If I may ask, if participants have not identified your unit number in your name, if you could just throw that into the chat, I'd sure appreciate it.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so if you can just type in your name and your unit number, you know, PAC 969 Wayne, he's already got it typed into his screen, but if you could put that into the chat, that would really help us out, kind of take a little roll call for us. Okie dokie. So now, let me see. All right, so our meeting objectives. What the heck's a PowerPoint presentation if we don't go over what we're going to object, right? So we are going to learn and understand the new PAIA mechanics. Okay, so we're going to understand what the heck this new stuff is going to be going on. We're going to have a better understanding of where our new council stands. If you haven't been reading the emails, right, we had a little bit of a slow summer, unfortunately. So this is going to be kind of an opportunity for us to share a little insight as to what's going on in scouting in our new council. And then, of course, we always want to feel good about the work we're doing. You know, I still think we are the premier program for youth leadership in the country, I would say. Even better in the Bay Area, right? So let's not forget we're producing really good work for our youth out there, okay? So what the heck was the PAIA? Some people called it the PAIA, some people called it the assessment. If you put a little spin onto it, it was called the PAIA, right? It had a little flavor to it. Well, it stood for the Program Activities Insurance Assessment, right? That was what it actually stood for. It was created by our council executive board, so our all volunteer board voted it into process. And its purpose was to aid in the council staying solvent, right? The whole purpose of our PAIA was to help make sure that we could meet our budget standards at the end of every year. The cost of it was $108 per youth, and it was $12 per adult. Now, of course, there was that anecdote where if you held a Friends of Scouting, you did an early bird discount, it was going to be $96 per youth. So there's just a little bit of a difference there. So that was the what. Now we're going to go over why. Why the heck did we have this PAIA? What was the purpose behind it? Well, there's a rising cost of programming. You all know, living in the Bay Area, breathing in the Bay Area, it costs money. So the program incrementally has gone up in costs. Also, there's loads of other things that go into it, right? Just insurance alone on our properties and on our buildings for our scouts, that has had a rising cost as well. We've also had a big loss of sponsorships, right? So unfortunately, it wasn't really that cool to donate to scouting 5 years ago. Some considered us to be a little bit of a closed off program. Well, I'm very happy to say we have opened our doors to lots of new opportunities. We've welcomed girls into our program. We welcomed openly gay adult leaders into our program. Unfortunately, it's hard to go back to those companies and try to regain those corporate sponsorships. Most times they've often given them to somebody else, right? So it's hard to regain that money that we lost due to the national standards. And overall, there's also been a decline in donations, both at the family level and at the individual level. I know the culture in the Bay Area is quite different. Families would like to know what the cost is up front, and they are gladly going to pay for that service, right? The idea to donate to us sometimes is lost because it is not deemed, or it's not common knowledge that we are actually a nonprofit, right? We are operating on the very bare bones to make sure that we can provide the correct program for your youth. So throughout the years, we have seen a steady decline in those donations. And unfortunately, the big kicker, the whole reason we're hosting this meeting via Zoom, it is because of COVID, right? We've had to cancel all of our spring events, all of our summer events, right? Summer camp is one of our biggest revenue generators. Unfortunately, we were not able to hold those programs over spring and summer, and it's taken a very big toll on our office, right? So that was the what, that was the why. Now, oh, there's one more, and it's also to help fund the bare minimum of our activities, right? The PAIA was created so that we could just skate by. It was really to help us keep the lights on, right? So that was why we were hosting the PAIA in addition to our FOS events. It was a tandem. Okay, so the mechanics, right? How the heck did that PAIA work? I'm not even gonna get into that, right? Instead, I would like for you all to just put that in the green compost bin, okay? So we're gonna keep the what, we're gonna keep the why, but how did we do it? Scrap it. Just put everything in that green compost bin. I say compost, right? Because some things are going to grow from it, right? We're gonna let some things die, but we're gonna let some new things come into it, okay? So get ready, we're changing the name. PAIA is now called the CPF, okay? So there's no confusion on what it's called. There's no tricky vowels in there. It stands for the Council Program Fee, CPF. So once again, PAIA, throw it out the window. We don't want it anymore. It is due at recharter, and it's to help pay for the upcoming year. So there's no early bird discount. There's no June this. There's no this, that, the other, right? It's always going to be due at recharter, and it's going to be calculated for you through the online recharter system. So it's going to be taken care of for you, right? It is going to be $66 per registered youth. So that's actually a net decrease from the PAIA. So overall, it's going to be less dollars per youth. It is going to be $42 per registered adult. Now, while that does say it's a net increase of $30, I also want to point out this is an overall net decrease. So all of the CPFs that are going to be due this recharter are at a net decrease. They're smaller than what they were as the PAIA, okay? So it is less money there. Now also multiples will not be double charged, so they're not gonna get double dinged. So if you are an adult leader in a pack, you're also an adult leader in a troop, you will only be paid the single $42 fee. You're not gonna be double dinged anymore.
It's the name of the fee.
Now,
the council program fee.
What the heck is going to be due at recharter? Somebody said, hey, it might be more helpful for me to understand like a nice little equation, right? So to give you the breakdown right here, we have, this is a youth right here. So the 66 is going to be the national fee. That's what's going off to national. This 66 is what's staying internal. This is going to be the CPF. So that's going to stay internal for us. It's going to help us with our revenue. It's going to allow for us to offer the better and the stronger programming and our low cost programming as well. Now the Boys Life, right? This is going to be that $12 right there. So the total is going to be $132. So $132 per youth is what's going to be ask for at recharter. Right? Now, right next to that, you're going to see the 132 divided by 12 equals 11. So somebody offered, hey, you know, it would be helpful to know how much this is going to cost us a month, right? It's going to cost $11 per scout per month, right? And I gave the same breakdown per adult down there below as well. So the 42 is going to go off to national. We're not going to touch a dime of that. That $42 is going to stay internal. It's going to help us throughout the year. And then that Scout magazine is going to be $12. And then you're going to have that $84 total there. It's two. Alrighty? I hope you all can see my mouse because that's what I was using to let you all know. But I guess we'll cover that in the question section later. Yeah. So what about, this is all the what if questions, and I'm hoping I got them all, so I can answer all of your questions on one, right? So what if my Packer troop already paid the PAIA? Don't worry about it. We're gonna offer you two options. We're gonna give you a refund, so we're gonna write the check back to you. You get that money back in your bank account, right? Then you can decide how you want to figure out what you're gonna do with it. Or the other option is, we will transfer it over to the CPF for you. Right? So you can leave it in with us. We'll take care of it for you. Now I did bring up, right, there is that net decrease. It's a little bit less to pay the CPF. That remainder will stay internal. It will be a Friends of Scouting donation, and it will be much needed for us to cover our costs. Remember, like I said earlier, we didn't offer our summer camp program this year, and that was a huge bonus. The next thing, what if my Packer troop did an FOS event to help lower our PAIA? Well, we are still working out how specifically we want to offer that program and how we want to incorporate that in for this fall and also for our spring. So for those of you who did hold an FOS event, please stay afterwards in the chat. That way we can talk one-on-one and help game plan on what we want to do to solve that. For those of you who are watching this as a recorded later, I hope you have my email address, but there's my email address if you don't, and we can talk about it and help solve that later. So the last question, does this replace Friends of Scouting? No, right? The CPF, like I mentioned earlier, is to meet that bare bones, that minimum requirement. Friends of Scouting is a much needed donation platform that helps us thrive and grow the program, right? We are able to continuously expand our program to reach further, to offer you more resources, to offer you more training through our Friends of Scouting donation platforms. Right? So they are much needed, and we're still going to need them. And I lied. This is my last question. What about families that cannot afford the CPF? We always hear that there is the rising cost of everything in the Bay Area, right? Well, we want to acknowledge that. We have a No Scout Will Be Left Behind program. So that is yet to be rolled out, but I can guarantee you that we will not be turning away a single scout because of the CPF. It will be offered on both the Golden Gate Area Council website as well as our Twin Valley Resources page site as well. So speaking of resources, here we go, right? We have our Twin Valley website, twinvalleyscouting.com. So we are going to get this presentation. We're also going to get a couple of handouts, some resources, as well as additional slides. And then you're also going to be able to find that CPF scholarship page. They're all going to be on our website, coming very shortly. We're also going to email blast out the sheets. So these sheets that I keep talking about, they are a one-pager from the council office. It explains in extreme detail why we're doing the CPF, where the money goes, where the money comes from, how we're investing back into our youth and our communities. So I'm going to email blast all those out to all of our committee chairs and all of our unit leaders. So it's just the two people in your Packer troop, right? Those are also going to be on our webpage there. Lastly, I brought up Sridhar Ramanathan earlier as our Friends of Scouting champion. Sridhar just wanted to, we wanted Sridhar to kind of talk about Friends of Scouting right now so that he could let you all know. Oh boy, did I do that correctly? Can y'all see each other now?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, Sridhar?
Yep. Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks so much, Matt. Nice presentation as always. Quick intro of myself. I used to be the treasurer of Troop 924 in Livermore for about 3 years, and before that, committee chair for Troop 903 in Livermore, PAC 903, not Troop, PAC 903. And then I have a son who's a Eagle Scout graduate, Eagle Scout, He's now going to Cal Poly. Now I'll put in a plug for Eagle Scout rank. He got a very nice scholarship, a merit scholarship, because of his Eagle Scout rank. So those of you parents, hang in there. It is so worth going all the way to Eagle Scout. So my role in this, as Matt said, is the Friends of Scouting champion. And what that means is I'm here to support you to put on an FOS event, Friends of Scouting. A couple of changes. One, Friends of Scouting used to be obviously a physical event. So I ran one for Troop 924 here in Livermore. And it's like a dinner and a presentation. Now it's all virtual. So obviously you'll want to do a virtual event, and I'm happy to work with you offline if you need any help on how to put on a virtual Friends of Scouting event. Number two, we're asking for, or the district's asking for 2 Friends of Scouting events, one in the fall and one next spring. So I'll repeat that, one this fall 2020, and then one spring of 2021. That is unusual. Normally Friends of Scouting is once a year. However, as you know, because of the pandemic, we did not have a spring Friends of Scouting campaign in early 2020, right? We did not have one in spring, nor did we have one last year. So in a way, the district is playing catch up. So what we're asking, I'm asking on behalf, I'm a fellow parent, I'm not a paid staff member of the organization, but we're asking for the Friends of Scouting to be held twice, once in the fall, once in the spring. So that money is critical. It is going to keep the organization moving forward with programs and trainings. And I know some of the camps, for example, Matt, we got Rancho Los Mochos and Roine and Wente, all of those, I know they're sort of closed, but there's still operating costs with those things. There's insurance and all that. Now, of course, the CPF, Council Program Fee, is going to be covering some of the bare bones things. Friends of Scouting is additional funding to make sure we cover those expenses, and also things like the Scout training, leadership training, adult training, as well as the Scout youth protection. There's a lot of fees and expenses that Friends of Scouting will offset. So it is really critical. What's different about this year's Friends of Scouting versus past, I know as a parent, often we used to feel that Friends of Scouting was optional. It was like, oh, okay, do the best you can, sort of donate. This year, it's a little more dire. Sorry for using the word dire. It's like really critically needed funds, whether it's $1 or several $100, every buck makes a difference. So I just want to leave you with that strong request. Could we please do 2 events, one in the fall, one in the spring? I'm a resource for you. Count me in. Let me know how I can help. Forget PAIA. PAIA's history. Now it's Council Program Fee tied to rechartering, and then Friends of Scouting over and above that twice this coming year. So Matt, did I forget anything? Anything you want to add to that, correct that?
No, I think you nailed it, Sridhar. You expressed the need, so I really appreciate that. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put
next
in the chat window, sorry.
Oh, no,
it's not on the slide, but I'll put in the email in the chat window, everybody, so you can reach me anytime.
That'd be great. Thank you, Sridhar. Yep. And now also, I just wanted to help us close out this part of our presentation is our district chair, Jeff Falcon. So Jeff, do you have anything you wanted to close us out with?
No, I think you did a great job and presented this very well. The most important parts of this presentation, that the biggest takeaways are that for all intents and purposes on a Scout level, this actually was a reduction. The net cost to each family is lower. And I think I don't know if you mentioned it or not, but there will be no duplicates for the program with repeat with younger siblings. So all in all, it is a decrease, which is surprising considering the financial situation that we find ourselves in. The last year and a half have been very difficult for the Scouting program. We've been under a tremendous amount of pressure, but nobody saw COVID coming, and so it took away our ability to raise funds. It took away our ability to be together and even talk about what we need to do next. What's going to keep the organization strong and going is how we hold Scouting in our hearts and front and center, and how often we're talking about the things that are needed. I think the most important thing that we need to take away from this is that this program is, as Matt put it, what we're needing to keep the lights on. But in order to make the program rich, in order to make it wonderful for our kids, Friends of Scouting is going to have to carry that weight, and all of us are going to have to, all the volunteers and all of the parents are going to have to consider that as we move forward. But at the end of the day, this program is probably the single best value proposition I know of when it comes to programming for our youth. There's just nothing better out there, and it's $11 per month. So at the end of the day, we're hoping that everybody understands where this is coming from, and why this is asked of all of us. And most importantly, we're asking everybody to understand that this is just the bare minimum. The rest of it, as Sridhar so eloquently put, is going to be incumbent upon us to come together not once but twice a year to make this a more richer program. And so I'll stick around too for a while afterwards for any of the question and answers. But Matt, you do a great job.
Hey, thanks everybody. You know, you're only as strong as your team, right? So once again, thanks everybody. I did see there was a couple of questions that popped up, so I'll just work from most recent to backwards. Roma Bisha asked, hi Roma, by the way, I hope you're well. She asked, so does the no multiples also refer to siblings as well as adults registered in both a pack and a troop? That might have been a slip up, so I just want to confirm, right? If you have 2 children in the program, both of them will be paying the council program fee. The multiples was in regards to if a single child is in a crew and a troop, they will not be double dinged there, right? The same way if an adult is in a pack in a troop, they will not be double dinged there either. So the multiples is referring to registered positions and not people in the program. And then Keith, I did see your question too, so I'm just gonna save that one for when we delineate it to a smaller group. So as of right now, are there any questions in regarding to what we just talked about? Doesn't seem like it. Okay, so I'll give the first goodbye, right? If you no longer have any more questions, that's all the information that we were able to give. Fee schedule. Mark, what do you mean by fee schedule? Go ahead and unmute yourself. Mark, I'm gonna wait until either I'm gonna wait on yours and figure out what it is that you're trying to ask. Kevin asks, when we recruit, we are going to sell why this is the best value on their, oh, shoot. Can district put together a sample flyer of FAQs why a newer continuing family should join continuous scouting besides $11 a month fee? Oh yeah, so we have an FAQ sheet that is going to be going out and that is going to be on the website too. So that resource will be provided. So there's going to be a FAQ sheet, so it's going to be the quick and dirty questions. But then Kevin, we're also going to have a pretty lengthy in detail piece of paper document that's going to say these are the real reasons on why scouting is important and why we should continue and why we have the CPF. So both of those will be available on the website, and I will email blast those out too so that people can find them later. Okay, so it looks like people are still hanging around. So Keith, your question about the FOS payments, right? Jeff, you had a pretty eloquent response for this one earlier. Do you want to tackle that one again? Jeff, you're on mute.
What was the question again? I apologize.
For units, for packs that did a FOS earlier this year in order to help defray the costs of their PAIA, what's coming down the pipe for that?
Yeah, what I would probably suggest first is the notion and the idea that we know absolutely that we didn't see this change coming either. So the idea that we had suggested that we can raise funds through FOS. The first thought would be, if it is at all possible, to allow that to stand separate and to redonate to the cause through this program, because as we said, we're going to need both programs. However, if that's not possible, what we're going to do is we're going to take this into council advisement and district advisement and to the council and talk to them about what they want to do. And we'll probably ask the field director to personally get involved. But the first question, first answer is it possible that we might be able to have that donation stand as it sits and simply implement the new program fee? So as long as it's a smaller group right now, perhaps you can unmute and we can actually have that discussion. How does that sit?
This is Keith. Yeah, unfortunately, we presented it as an expectation that either you donate now or you donate later for that PAIA. So people who donated now when we started it expect to have a discount on their fees when the time comes for a recharter.
So I think then what we'll probably do is take this back and submit it to Lou. What's Lou's last name? Is it Sasson?
Lou Sisson, yeah, he's the new Tim Welty. He's the new director of field services.
And so let us present that to him and explain the situation. Is there anybody else that's in the group here that's done the same thing and has that same question?
Hi, this is Lisa from PAC 938 and Troop 998. There's a lot of nines, a lot of eights. Sorry. Yeah, I did the same thing. So I did the same as last year. We did a presentation and more for the troop, I think, than the PAC. I get people to donate $96 because that's how much we had to make, just like we did last year. So I know, I'm not sure how many have done it, but I know that's what they had their expectation. So maybe it's just looking at what our current Friends of Scouting donations are, and then we can assess from there. I actually don't know what those numbers are right now. So maybe that's also can be taken into consideration as how much we've actually got donated. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
This is Dick Bailey from 900. I think we missed the boat on FOS. I think we spend too much time beating the bushes and saying, give me money, give me money, give me money. I think we need to, what we did up in Portland in my troop is when we have one big troop-wide dinner where all the parents, the grandparents, everybody else would come in, because twice a year we would give all the awards out, all the rank advancement. We would do the whole schmal. So we would have everybody from the great-grandparents on up and friends, family. At that event, which was October, November, I think it was November. It was before FOS started. So whatever months FOS started, we were before that. So we'd actually have to use last year's paperwork. We would have a scout roll out and hand those things out to every single table. Two of us, I was the DC and I was the assistant DC. We would stand up and probably do a 2-minute spiel. That was it. Once in a year. And we would ask everybody to make a donation. We'd explain what it was for, what it was needed for, and we'd ask them we didn't ask them to give the memo. We asked them to open their wallets. We exceeded every single year our goals. We were off the charts. Now, I have to tell you, we had a couple people on the troop, adults, who would drop $500 checks. We also had some that wouldn't give in, but it all worked out. We would exceed off the chart, and we only did it once. I mean, I had other troops in that area, which I talk about every year, and every year everybody ignored it. But the troops that basically ignored it had to go in and do 2 or 3 of these fundraisers a year, and it's kind of like when you go to Catholic school and you have to sell candy. You know, it drives people nuts when you keep begging for money. And I think you can be more effective by doing it once, but doing it very well.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. I'm sure our FOS chair would agree that anything like that allows people to come together for a like-minded cause and do this one time is absolutely the ideal situation. What's changed right now is two things. The first thing that's changed is that the amount of need for money at this point, we've had three or four devastating things occur. The loss of the LDS support, the loss of the corporate supports through the social sensitivities that existed that no longer do. And as Matt explained, it's very difficult to go back and unring that bell. And the third thing is that COVID. Nobody saw this coming. So the idea of getting together in any shape or form in a room where, if nothing else but peer pressure would and a fervor of watching everybody dig out in their wallet and put something in the basket, which is kind of how it works in church too. The opportunity to do that is not here right now. So we're going to have to find a more creative way and a more imaginative way in order to do that. And when we get back together and we have the ability to do that, Matt, I think that Mr. Bailey should be on that committee, because I think there's something to be learned from that. And I think that is something wise and something wonderful. At the end of the day, we're going to have to find a way through the financial issues of this whole thing. But as it breaks out, the entire cost at this point is $11 per month per kid, with every single thing thrown onto the mix except FOS. So that's where we stand right now anyway. And I'd love to see that type of thing occur again. What do you think about that, Sidar?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff, for the tee up there. I think, Mr. Bailey, your comments are brilliant. I remember last year when we did FOS in our troop, Troop 94 in Livermore, is exactly what you described. Grandparents, friends, there's this crowd psychology that, we want to raise funds because we all love scouting. We all love scouting. And in the COVID environment, we're going to have to do all this virtually. And the main tip I would give is, don't think of this as a one-time event, a one-time evening. Think of this as a campaign over a few weeks. So what worked for our troop is, and Deepak Kateri is on the line. He's now the treasurer of 94. We like 6 weeks before the Friends of Scouting event, we said, here's our thermometer. Our goal for the troop was like $5,700. Okay, that's our goal. 6 weeks before the event, 5 weeks before the win, we're like at $5,000. 4 weeks before, we're at 5,000 still. 3 weeks, we're at 4,000. You know what I mean? It creates this drumbeat, this steady kind of, it's almost like a competition frenzy that before the event, people are already thinking about FOS, they're already thinking about the goal, so that by the time we had the event, they're like, okay, we just need a couple more thousand and we're there. So one change in mindset is, let's not think of this as just one family picnic get together, which we love and I dearly miss. If we think of this more like a game, like a campaign, I really think we can achieve some great fundraising, which we badly need. The organization really, really needs. So that's one tip I would offer. My contact information I sent in the chat, so feel free to reach out. I'm happy to offer thoughts. Yes, Jeff, go ahead.
I was going to say, let me go back to Keith for just 1 second, because there's only 13 of us left on here. So there's really, that means 10, or actually 9 representatives from the different troops. And obviously you folks are the ones that have raised some money through FOS. The one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to rob people of the opportunity to step up either. So I know what we told them. We said, if you donate through this FOS campaign right now, this is going to take care of the need for you to participate later. And I completely understand the hesitancy to think about going back and asking them for more money. But I also think to myself this: if I were a dad in the troop right now, I have 3 boys that went through the program, and this occurred, and I got a call from a committee chairman or the treasurer, and they said something to the effect of, listen, I know what we told you, and this is up to you, but we have a choice we have to make right now. Either we have to contribute again to the program since we've joined together with we've merged into one large council, or we're going to have to ring the bell and say we don't want to pay anymore. So what would you personally like to do? And I think if we made those calls, I don't think we'll make any enemies, because we're giving them the choice. And I'm wondering, Keith, how do you think that might ring in PAC 943?
You know, we've had the trouble doing fundraising in our PAC. I think partially it's the cultural makeup of what we have here in the PAC. It's a little different, I think. So we can always ask. You know, I agree. We can always ask. But I just when I like to set expectations ahead, and then if we did, I just don't want to reset them. You know, even though things have changed. And with COVID, it's like, you know, people are going to expect less of a program too. So, you know, we hope not, and we're, you know, all building a program that we can do in this virtual environment. But, you know, I think, unfortunately, it's not the time to ask, but we can ask, and, you know, we see what happens.
Yeah, and again, depending on how we phrase it, how we message that particular ask, I can't imagine we're going to make any enemies, because there's only two answers. Yes, I understand, and here's an additional $66, or no, I feel that we've already done our part and we're not going to give any more. But the very least that will happen is that there will be some yeses and there'll be some nos. So it will reduce the amount that we're going to have to determine whether or not we're going to cover or forgive. And if that answer is not up to me, it's not up to Matt. That's going to have to go to a vote. And I'm sure, though, that nobody's going to make liars out of the wonderful volunteers like Keith and like Richard, and I think I saw somebody from Troop 908. That's my alma mater. No one's going to make liars out of you, I don't think. I think we're going to find a way through this, and you'll get a call and a conversation will occur. Am I right, Matt?
No, you're correct, Jeff. I know one of the great things I like to offer is individuality, right? You know, I like to think that I talk to you all on the needs and basis of all of your packs and troops. So I'm more than welcome to enter a conversation with everybody individually so we can tackle this together.
You know, I wonder if there's another. I don't denigrate anything that's been said in terms of the need to raise money. I understand that. But up until this last year, we've been hemorrhaging money to pay for lawsuits, settlements. BSA has. With the bankruptcy, which they tends to eliminate most of that stuff, and it also pretty much isolated the districts from the national office in terms of the bankruptcy in terms of the way they structured it. I'm wondering if in the longer run, it may take a couple of years before we see this, is that we're not going to have to raise as much money to get to our goals as we have been in the past because of this unspoken problem with settling lawsuits. Matt?
Well, I think the need for fundraising will always be there, right? We're a nonprofit, so we're not taking that money so we can use it for a rainy day. We're taking that money so we can make it through this year, right? And as I mentioned before, too.
I get it.
All right.
You know what I'll say, Richard. My grandfather used to say to me, "From your mouth to God's ears." We'll see. Maybe they'll come to. Maybe that will come to pass. My experience has been nothing goes down in price, and you know, even at 3 times the cost, I think this program, what it means and what we offer our youth is such a wonderful thing. I often wonder whether or not we overthink these things, but as Keith said, there's a difference in culture and dynamic and thought process in different people and different groups and different cultures, and we have to be sensitive to that as well. So as we move forward through this, we'll find our answers. We'll find a way. I think that this organization is supported by people like us, you know, and I thought I was done, you know, and here I am back in the district.
What about you? But
Yeah, I mean, this is Keith again. I of course think this is a wonderful program. That's why I'm involved, like, you know, PAC and Troop and everything. It's when we compare it and we market it as look how much you pay for sports for 3 months, 6 months versus you can get a year of scouting for this price. It's still a dang good deal.
Well said, sir.
You nailed it. Thanks, Keith. All right. Are there any other questions from the group? Going once, going twice. Okay. Everybody, once again, thank you. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for the support you're giving to everybody. We greatly appreciate it. You can't make a fire with a single stick, right? So it's all the work that you all are helping us out with. So until next time, see you later.